Say what you wanna say to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning.
Hey, what's going on?
What's going on? What's going on? How's everybody doing tonight? It is our Loved by You podcast, and we are so grateful that you have decided to join us for episode 17. What is your love language and what do you speak? So, I'm your host, Carrie L, and my co-host,
Me,
oh my gosh,
R.A. Roberts.
Yes. And we are in episode 17. And like I said, our topic that we're going to be talking about, I know that we kind of touched on it, dibs and dabs in it a couple of times during different episodes where we kind of spoke about love languages or even said the term or used the term love language. But tonight, we're actually going to, or today, whenever you're listening to this, we're actually going to talk a little bit more in depth about our love language and the love languages that you speak. So honestly, from the time that we're born, we are taught a language and a way that we speak and articulate what we actually want. Often, what most people don't understand is that we are born with our own language and our own way of getting what we want. Did you know that?
I did.
Yeah, I know. But this is probably just very simple for you guys. You're like, I already know that. Because a baby cries instinctively to be fed, changed, or even to be put down for a nap. Or they can, do other signals or other ways like rubbing their eyes in order to communicate what they want. So I think the frustration a lot of times comes in when the person doesn't understand or they get something, like you give them something that they didn't even ask for. So once that happens, this is when the tantrum ensues. And I don't think that is too far from even adults when they are speaking a certain language and you don't understand them or what they're speaking. And then also you might give them something that they never even asked for. And a lot of times I think this happens in marriages too.
Well, yeah. Well, that's like if you pick up a blue cup and I say cup, you don't know, am I talking about that the cup is called blue? The color of the cup is called blue. The shape of the cup is called blue. The material that the cup is made out of is called blue. You don't know. You just know blue is a characteristic of that cup. You don't know. And so, yeah, that's a frustration, and a lot of times the tantrum ensues by somebody yelling and screaming, and you don't understand me, so I'm going to talk louder, but that doesn't help. And like you said, unfortunately, we do it in marriages also, where if I don't speak your love language or you don't speak my love language, instead of yelling and screaming about it, what we do is we do more of it.
Yeah.
That's also like with human language, like you're born with the ability to learn and understand any language.
Right.
You can take a baby that's born in Nigeria, and if they're born and raised in Germany, their native language is going to be German because that's the first language that they've learned. And even though their parents are Nigerian, if they only grew up around German speakers, that's what they're going to speak.
Right.
And that's not true with love languages.
Right. Exactly.
You can speak any love language, but innately you only have one or two love languages that is native to you.
Right. And I think too, kind of going back to your point of, someone could ask for a cup, but you interpret a blue cup. And so you give them the blue cup. But when they said cup, they were really talking about the tall cup or whatever,
right.
That is clear or red or whatever it is. But they weren't specific enough. They just said cup. And I think that is sometimes the problem with when we're speaking our native love language to our spouse. They think they understand your love language. They think they understand what you're speaking, but really you mean something else, or you're not as specific because it's a language that seems to be common. Like it seems like I should be able to speak your language. And so sometimes I think we go off of what we think we know, and we don't.
It's kind of like the scene in Happy Feet, the movie where he says, "Why don't you understand me? I'm speaking perfect penguin."
Yeah.
That same thing. But we've talked about this love. What exactly are the love languages? What is this whole? What if I don't know what you mean by love language?
Okay, so basically with love languages, this is really basically a special way that we give and receive love. Okay? This was a theory, the theory of the 5 love languages. This was first introduced by Gary Chapman in 1992. Okay? And he found that couples were not feeling loved despite their partners believing that they were doing all the right things for them. And I kind of took this excerpt out of his little introduction when he was finding this theory or introducing this theory, because it really stood out to me of how he said couples were not feeling loved despite their partners feeling like they're doing all the right things. And it resonated with me too, because I think that that's the thing, that's the frustration, is that the person that is trying to, I guess, give or speak that other person's love language, because they don't fully understand it, it's very hard for them to speak it fluently to where the other person will receive it well. Because they're just like, I'm doing all the right things. Like, why doesn't she feel loved? Or why doesn't he feel loved? And it's basically because it's not native to you. So many times we go off of what we think we know and not asking the other person, well, what does it mean to you when you say you want quality time?
Right. So what are the 5 love languages? And you keep going around it, but what are they?
All right. So Ayanna Vincent actually summarized it very well. So I'm gonna try to go from how she summarized it.
Hopefully you do better than how you pronounce her last name. But go ahead.
Vincent. I think that's the way you say it.
No, but okay, sure.
You say it then.
No, because I'm not sure how to say it. But continue.
Anyways. But the 5 love languages are acts of service, words of affirmation, physical touch, gifts, and quality time. Okay? Now, when we talk about acts of service, this is where this kind of comes from that whole actions speak louder than words, right? And so these people that speak acts of service, helping them with a project or helping them to complete a task is everything for them. Okay, that is a lot of times how they receive love the best. All right, they hold very little tolerance for any perceived laziness. Acts of service can be one that is deemed as maybe the hardest one to give, because people that are acts of service want you to always be doing something, I think. So
okay, I won't necessarily say that people with acts of service want you to always be doing something for them.
But the majority of the time.
No, but continue.
Okay,
continue.
so you're going to put your 2 cents in.
I mean, continue.
All right. Well, all right. So the second one is words of affirmation. And words, with this type of person, words hold a lot of value. Encouragement, a lot of I love yous, compliments fill their cup. Okay. But on the flip side, negative comments can do very big damage, and it can cut very deep. They also struggle with forgiving a person who has cut them deeply with words. Okay, so that's words of affirmation. Physical touch, and this does not always have to happen in the bedroom. A lot of times people have the misconception that if your primary love language is physical touch, that you always want to be, bam bam in the bedroom, and that's not always the thing that they want.
Bamming?
You know what I mean. Anyways.
Bam. Okay.
Yes, bam bamming.
Yes, bam bamming.
Yeah,
okay.
I think that's
gonna be the phrase of the podcast.
Right.
Bam bamming. Continue.
Anyways, so this physical touch is basically with these people. They want some type of physical connection. Most of the times it's throughout the day. If you ask a person of physical touch, they like some type of physical connection, hand holding, kissing, hugging, even a rub on the back or something like that. They love that. It makes them feel loved. It makes them feel safe. Physical abuse or physical aggression is a deal breaker for these people, that physical touch is their love language. Mm-hmm. Gifts is receiving a present makes them feel loved and appreciated. And it does not have to be something that is, huge as far as, expensive or anything like that. A lot of times with gifts, if this person is if gifts is their love language, they really just want you to put some effort and time and thought into giving them something tangible. And it also doesn't mean that they're materialistic, but it speaks volumes to them to have something tangible from you. Mm-hmm. The last one, quality time, means undivided attention. Talk is cheap for these people. So distractions, postponements, broken promises is a no-go. Okay. Just being there and giving them your time and attention makes them feel comforted and supported. So I want to ask you, babe, because I know you are dying to express yourself in this whole thing. Give your 2 cents. So what's your love language?
So my love language, and if you don't know what yours is, stick with us. We'll have a test that you can. We'll have access to a test that you can use. But my dominant love language is acts of service.
Okay.
Okay. Do you remember what my second one was?
It was quality time, because I think we tied on that.
And so, which one was my anti quality time? I guess I'll say.
You mean the love language?
Yes, the love language.
I'm like, what? It was gifts. Mm-hmm. Gifts for you was 0%, y'all. 0% for him. And I was just like, how are you even human and you don't like gifts at all?
So for me, acts of service was my number 1. Words of affirmation was my number 2. Quality time, physical touch, and then yes, gifts is 0. Even though y'all tried to give me a 1 on gifts, my gifts was 0. So I can highly speak on acts of service, words of affirmation, and gifts. Well, what are yours? Do you remember what yours were?
So my first one was physical touch. Mm-hmm. My second one was
A close tie. No.
Yeah. It was words of affirmation, wasn't it?
No.
It was quality time.
Quality
gifts
time?
were third for me. Yes, it was. Because I was surprised with that.
Well, that test was skewed then. But continue.
No, it was not.
Continue.
No, it was not.
Continue.
But either way, so mine was physical touch. And then I had quality time. And then it was gifts. And then it was words of affirmation. And then it was acts of service.
Mm-hmm. And so basically we're in a household that our love languages are the opposites of each other. You know.
The only thing that was tied though for us was quality time. Because we both had it third. But one of the things that I can say is that for us, and this is why this quiz, and no, we're not sponsored yet. But if you go to 5lovelanguages.com/quizzes/love-language, you can take a very quick and easy test. It is literally like not even 5 minutes for you to do it.
See, I was going to give that at the end because now you done got everybody, they pulling up the love languages and they ain't going to listen no more. But anywho. But so we have a household where our love languages are different. I would say for me, acts of service, even though my wife feels like it is the hardest one to fulfill, I disagree, but of course that's my love language. That's why I disagree. A lot of times for acts of service, it's the little things.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to do big things. It's the little things. It's you ironed my clothes for tomorrow. You went to the store and you went on a shopping spree and you brought me back a $2 keychain because it's shaped like something I like or looks like something. Or you woke up and cooked me breakfast. You know, it's with acts of service, a lot of times it's those small things that you can do. And so those small things speak volumes.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Now I will say for words of affirmation, it's an easy thing. Because like I always say, I like to be behind the scenes. I don't have to be up in the front. I don't have to be the one that is in charge with everything. But for me, a simple, hey, good job, or hey, thanks for doing that, oh, hey, you did that really well, speaks volume. Do something nice for me, and then tell me good job every now and again, and you will fill my cup and have it overflow.
Right. And I think too, it's like for acts of service, I think if you're not an acts of service person.
Well, before we talk about your anti ones, talk about yours.
Okay, so physical touch, I truly agree with this summary of that it does not always have to be in the bedroom. Because for me, I am very much a hugger. Very much like I need a kiss in the morning. I need a hug or whatever. I need you to, randomly touch my arm in public or whatever it is. I don't necessarily need sex all the time. And a lot of times, like I would say before, I really, because I was working and just tired, it was kind of like sex was just not really something that was a necessity for me, I would say. And so, I was kind of surprised when I took the test and realized that physical touch was like at the top. I honestly thought gifts were at the top for me.
I will say for you, I wasn't surprised by that when we took it back then. Because I would say for you, and I say this 100 times a day, that
100 times a day?
100 times a day.
Okay. Somebody's lying.
For you, I can give you a kiss in the morning, and that is all the intimacy you need for the day.
Because also too, I would take more. Like if you were home all throughout the day, I would expect like kiss, a hug, or something.
Right. But
because you have to go to work,
yes,
unfortunately, I can't get that. So yes, it would serve me.
Right.
I would feel loved throughout the day if I got that kiss in the morning. Yeah. Now, if you missed it, it would really, like, I would feel some type of way.
Yeah. And so, as I always say, equate that to making love. And so that's the thing, that if you are a physical touch person and you can get a hug or a kiss and be good forever, and your spouse is not a physical touch person, equate you not making love to your spouse not giving you a kiss for however long it is.
Yes. And that is one reason why I changed my mindset about making love with my spouse, with you, because it was something you had to break down for me, and you had to speak it in my language. There are times when I say I'm slow, you got to go slow for me, you got to break it down for me. And really it was a matter of when you explained it in the way of, okay, if you don't get a hug or a kiss, that day, how is that going to make you feel? And equate that to, if I don't be able to have that intimate time of making love with my wife, what does, how do you think that would make you feel or make me feel? So I had to, when you broke it down like that and you actually spoke it in my language, then I was able to understand, and it kind of changed my mindset about that and being able to give it up a little bit more.
So what was your number 2?
Number 2 was, and you are right, gifts was my number 2.
I know.
Because because I thought my gifts was number 1.
Right.
But that's what surprised me. Okay, so yes, the gifts were my number 2, but it is kind of what you were saying with acts of service. It's the little things. Like, I would almost be in tears if, my son brought me some flowers that he picked from wherever.
No matter how dead they were.
Right. But it's just the thought of it. It really is the thought that counts. Like the thought and the effort. You could bring me a small little box of something and it not even, be expensive or anything like that. But it's just the fact that you thought of me.
Mm-hmm. Going into Publix and getting you gummies.
Yes. I love Welch's gummies. They're my favorite. But anyways, so just that, kind of what you were saying, it's just that it's not, when people are gifts, when that is their love language or their secondary love language, it doesn't mean that they're materialistic. It just means that they receive love best when you have put the effort and time in the little things and giving a material thing. Yeah.
And so I will say the hard part with being married to someone who their main love languages are physical touch and gifts is, like I said, the aspect of fulfilling their physical touch needs when your physical touch needs aren't being met. And so it's hard of, well, why am I going to fulfill this need for you? And why am I going to give you a hug and a kiss when my physical touch needs aren't being met? And so I don't speak your language, so why should I attempt? But if you want to have a healthy, successful long marriage, you have to take a lesson in it and talk about it.
But I think that all goes into learning your spouse, becoming a student of your spouse, because, with marriage, that is a school in itself. And if you say with your mouth that you love a person, then you are going to do everything to learn about them. And that means learning their language, learning how to speak their language.
Yeah.
Because how you said, we really can't serve the other person if we are trying to serve them out of an empty cup.
Right.
And so, not that you are serving that person just so that you can get what you want, but understanding that I will never get what I want if I don't learn how to give them what they want.
Yeah.
And
so the problem with your primary and secondary love language not even being on your radar is the fact that, I really don't care about gifts. Even the fact is, recently, you bought me a guitar. And it wasn't the fact that you bought me something, but it was the fact that you thought of me. Mm-hmm. So there was an act there of serving me. And so it wasn't the gift. So somebody can be confused and be like, oh, well, they love when I get them stuff because they love when I got them this instrument, or I got them this computer game, or I got them whatever. But it's not the gift. It's the fact that you thought of them and you did an action, you did an act to serve them. Mm-hmm. And so for me, somebody who has gifts, like I said, I don't care about the gifts. But I had to learn that it's not about the gift. Like you said, it's the small things. Mm-hmm. It's the flowers, the just because gifts, and not even big and major things. The buying the gummies when we go into the store. So,
and I think the word that really stands out to me with all of these love languages is consideration. Mm-hmm. It's not about the gift. It's not about the words of affirmation. It's not about the physical touch. It's not about the acts of service per se. It's not even about the quality time. It's just about the fact that in all of these, you took special consideration for me.
Right.
You took special time, special effort for me. Mm-hmm. And that it was no one else that you really put all of this effort into. It was the fact that you did this for me. Right.
So let me ask you, what's the hard part about being married to someone who's their major gift, which was more than all their others combined, percentage-wise, all their other love languages combined, percentage-wise, hard? What's hard about that?
What's hard about your love language being
acts of service? Yes.
Well, I think that what is hard about the acts of service is that when it's not your love language, it seems stupid. And
tell me how you really feel.
No. I say that because, and I've talked to you about this before. Mm-hmm. So, y'all, he trying to act like he don't know about this. But anyways, I've said that you don't naturally speak someone else's love language.
Right.
And a lot of times, because it's not your love language, you don't think that it makes sense.
Right, but you said earlier that acts of service is the hardest love language. It seems
like the hardest love language to someone that's not their love language, because it seems like the best way that you receive love is by always constantly doing something.
Okay, so my question, my trying to give examples here. My question for you then is, as somebody who does not speak acts of service, what have you had to do to speak my love language?
I have had to do, or I have decided or chose to do. I've chose to clean the house, and I've chose to get you different things, like, you know, if you had a project that you were working on, you know, with the car, like, I've thought about getting you another part for it that helps to make it easier for you. You know, I have made sure, like, your uniforms, I have gone and ironed them, or if they were running low on being clean, I would go and clean them, like different things like that. You know, and
it's not stuff that I don't do. Like,
right.
I do all those things also.
Yes, you do all those things, but it's just certain things I know that it just makes life easier for you. Mm-hmm. And it also, you know, makes you feel like, wow, my wife really thinks about me and loves me. Because I will say that before I got a full understanding of your love language, I honestly thought, well, I think about you all the time. Like, what's the problem? Like, I don't understand.
Right.
And really, it is that whole, like, with people that acts of service is their love language, you talk is cheap. Like, it's not a matter of thinking about somebody. They want you to do it. Like, you have to show me you love me versus telling me, or versus, you know, thinking about loving me. Like, it really is the acts that show love. And once I got a full understanding of that and realized that, no, I don't have to be necessarily doing, quote and unquote, something all the time, but like, when I got a full understanding of this, it was more so like, if I thought about, oh, he has mentioned that when he gets a moment, he was going to take this to the cleaners. You know what? Let me go ahead and take this to the cleaners. So what I started doing was things that I was thinking about doing, I actually started doing them. And then it made it where, no, it's not the hardest, but it can, for someone that is not acts of service, it can seem like the hardest thing to do.
Well, and I did the same thing with gifts. You know, kind of mentioned doing the little things like going in and buying the gummies, you know, and even though I'm like, they're gummies, but she'll go crazy because I got her gummies and you do.
Because I like gummies.
Yes, I know. But also the things of starting, like, we all use Google, so the Google Notes, starting a note with just gift ideas. You know, and I think that also helped you as being a gift giver, because my response would always become the gift. I mean, I really don't need anything. And then, but I'm practical, so if I saw something, I would just buy it because, oh, I needed this. And then you would get mad at me because you're like, oh, I just asked you what you... So, you know.
Because what also, being where my secondary love language is gifts, I am not just one that my cup gets filled by receiving gifts. My cup also gets filled when I give gifts, because I put a lot of effort and time and thought into giving someone a gift. So when I give somebody a gift, like, I joke around, joking, not really joking.
No, she's not joking.
That my only response that I think is acceptable is tears. Like, I want happy tears. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you thought of this. Because I put a lot of thought and love into giving gifts. So that also fills my cup when someone opens it and they're like, you know.
So if you've never had a chance, you've never been exposed to love languages, or if it's been a while, I'll say, yeah, take the test, look and see kind of updates. See, as we say, you know, somebody changes every 7 to 10 years. If it's been 7 to 10 years since you've taken a test, you know, might be a good time to take it again and see. Maybe something has changed. But then the other thing to think about is that if you're a household and you have children, your children also speak love languages.
Yes.
So for us with 2 children, our children speak different love languages than us also.
Right.
And so not only do you juggle, again, I am very much an advocate that your spouse comes first, but also learning your children's love language. Because like one of our children's, they're very much quality time. And it's like they want that undivided attention. They want you to talk, not just talk to them, but they want you to be actively engaged with them.
And listening.
They want to show you something that they're interested in. And the other one is words of affirmation. And I figured this out because of the negative comments aspect, where the negative comments would just completely shut them down.
Right.
So, you know, hey, remember that it's not just your spouse. You know, we do talk about, you know, this is love by you, and so it's your spouse, but also your children. And the other thing is that this can apply to siblings, parents, everyone. So
yeah. So I hope that this was a pleasurable listening conversation for you, and that this also sparks interest in finding out your love language and your spouse's love language, and if you have kids, your kids' love language as well, because it is very important for you to not only know your native tongue, but also be able to speak your spouse's love language fluently, and so that y'all can, you know, be loved by each other very well. Well, honey, I'm so thankful to be loved by you.
And I'm thankful to be loved by you.
And we are thankful to be
Fake to
loved
me
by
now.
you. Bye.
I wanna wake up
Peace out.
with you in the morning.